So
I
as
know.
talking about like one of the main topic that I want to talk about is the communication of climate change, right? So you said
Yeah.
imagery plays a very vital role. So I think the climate change deniers are very successful is conveying their message more properly than the people who are saying climate change is real.
Exactly. Yeah.
So people do basically what I have read from all the news articles is that they tap into the people's today's fear, right? So you said
Yeah.
about the polar bear image, right? So you looked at like a positive image, right? You felt for bad for that polar bear, but these
Yeah.
people use that same image and just change the message. So basically, what these people are have become successful is that they tell people, okay, that polar bear, forget about that polar bear. But if today we shut down that factory, you will lose your job, right?
Yeah.
You will lose your livelihood. Think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So what has happened
And
because of that polar bear imaginary is that people don't care about a random polar bear on North Pole who is losing his habitat. What they care about is a pothole in front of their house on the road, right?
yeah, true.
Climate deniers have successfully linked their message to the today's problem, right?
Exactly. And that's what basically a lot of people do as well. Even if you find that there are people who do care about the environment or who do care about climate change, they will basically say, oh, I get only one life. I'm going to live a very small, like a limited period of time. I want to live life on my terms. So I will do what I feel like. This is a very common conception amongst people when it comes to talking about environment. People don't want to step out of their comfort zone. That's a very big thing. So, if you ask somebody to maybe segregate their waste, or if you ask somebody to use a certain, how can I say, use a certain appliance less. So over here, basically what happens is we have a washer and dryer, right? So you put the clothes in for drying as well, and then it just comes out all dried up. But I normally prefer not to do that because it's like a 3-hour cycle. So I feel rather than wasting all of that electricity and using all of that water and steam, I'd rather put the clothes out for drying manually. That's my outlook for it. But then a lot of people think that, I don't have time for all of this. I'd rather spend time on Instagram rather than putting the clothes out for drying and then wait for them to dry. So I'm just giving you an example. This is what basically happens. People want everything to be comfortable. People want everything to be convenient at their own doorstep. That is why people will think twice before taking a bus, but they'd rather use their own vehicle to travel to a certain place, even if it's really close to their house.
Right.
अगर आपको ग्रोसरी लेने कहीं पे भी जाना है, अगर आपका घर बहुत पास में भी है, फिर भी आप अपनी स्कूटी निकालोगे और लेके आओगे उसको. And I have done that myself as well. I'm not saying that I am really perfect. मैंने भी किया हुआ है. It takes a little amount of realization, and it actually takes a lot of willpower to change your habits and make sure कि आप जो भी steps ले रहे हो, those are towards the benefit of the environment. So that's basically how it works.
I think basically climate change has a branding problem. Basically,
It
nowadays
does.
everything comes down to branding. So that
Yeah, that is true.
if you replace that polar bear with a man drowning in a river, then maybe people think.
Yeah, then maybe people will think, yeah, oh, something's happening. If I don't know, if you probably should see this, which European country it was, and I forgot now. Like it was in Amsterdam, I mean in Netherlands or Germany, I don't know. Some country, there's like this big a big mural statue sort of. It shows a lot of people underwater and it's just like their heads coming up, and that statue is called The Politicians Talking About Global Warming. So they basically portrayed it in a very nice manner. So they've put all those people underneath and they're discussing some bill, but they're basically till water up to here. So they're trying to portray this message that, even if the politicians are going to talk about all these things, global warming is happening right now. So you need to take action on it. Otherwise, you'll make discussions like this underwater in a few years. So.
And like just we discuss about day-to-day activities like putting proper garbage in proper garbage cans, right? So now it's become rich people's problem. Like people think rich people talk about climate change. That is not the real. I think
that is true.
Make the communication better than what we have right now. Until we don't make this is a day-to-day life problem, nobody's going to Look at it.
Nobody cares about it.
Everyone is like, I have one life and I'm going to live it on my terms.
Yeah, true. That is very true. I mean, I don't know how to go about that. I mean, that's why there are a lot of NGOs working on it. They're trying to create awareness amongst people. One way to look at it would be, I mean, maybe it's a bit difficult to instill it in somebody's mind who's like around maybe 24, 25 or so. They're not absolutely young either, so that they can, listen to all these things and think, oh, it's my planet and I should do something about it, because there's a lot of young people coming up too. But this problem is observed in apparently this age category, wherein they have just started living their lives properly, just started having a steady income, and they've just learned how to enjoy their lives on their own terms. So they don't want to be interrupted by things like environment and climate change and caring about the nature. So this is basically what happens in such age groups. So creating awareness about climate change has to be done according to a particular age group as well. You can instill this in young minds, saying that, oh, this is what your future is going to be. So if they think about their future, they will basically think about the environment. If you tell a group of adults in their late 30s or 40s that your children are going to live this life ahead further, they'll also think about it, because they want their children to have a better life. They want their children to have a better life, basically. If you talk about this to old people, they don't really care much. Most of the times, I'm not saying all, they don't care much, because they have been accustomed to a certain standard of living their entire life and they don't want to change it now. So, every age group has its own way of dealing with this issue, and every age group needs to be targeted with a specific sort of awareness campaign or a program that will reach out to them.
Only tap into emotions of these people. Like,
exactly.
People care about, and then we need to link that to the climate change. Okay.
Link that to climate change. Exactly. Because not everybody thinks about the environment as much as they're supposed to. People just tend to think, okay, there's somebody else maybe thinking about it, I don't have to. That's what happens.
If there is no social will, there will be no political will as well. Because
exactly
about what people think. So that
exactly.